record and see how it sounds. It's sounding...
It looks so short.
So this will be episode 7, or 6, right?
I thought it was 7.
The whiskey. This will be episode 6, post-production, Jawfox with Kim, take 1. So welcome back, everyone. Back at you with another episode of Post-Production, a Jawfox podcast designed to explore the creative process and the creatives within that process. Today, I am joined by RVA Creative, Kim Laird, aka Spooky City. Check her out on Instagram. She's here to talk her creative process, so stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Alexander, jawfoxphotography.com. Hope everyone's doing all right. As I mentioned, we are here today with Kim. Kim is an RVA creative. I met her on a photo shoot. She is an RVA model, a very talented model, I will say. If you look at her page, you can already tell she dives deep into theme photography and theme photo shoots. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
We'll go ahead and toast to a good podcast. Yeah.
Birthday drink.
So my birthday is August 10th. Your birthday is August 18th.
Yes, it
and
is.
We're both turning 34 this year.
We are.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Kim. What got you started in your creative journey?
I always knew that I wanted to be in the creative field. When I was a little kid growing up in Florida, just as horrible as they say, I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but I always thought that artists didn't make money or that it wasn't like a smart career move. So even though I was always drawing, I wanted to be a fashion designer so badly, but when I got to like college age and I had to put myself through college, I was like, this is just not a reasonable decision. So I was going to do something else. And then I always kept drawing, kept painting, kept creating. You know, I feel like boredom is actually a very, very powerful emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Where your emotions are so pent up that you have to get something out. You have to do something, create something. And that was always a big part of my life. And then when I finally started in the Instagram world, I was shocked that it actually led to all of these things because, you know, I got Instagram in 2012, like everybody else, putting like horrible filters around my cat pictures, totally fine, frames for days. And then I started working in a fashion career, and I was in DC, and I was like, okay, well, we have a lot of these influencers around us, and these are luxury fashion items. We should be reaching out to these people. So I unprivated my Instagram and started hosting events. So I started posting pictures of my daily outfits, literally selfies in my bedroom, thinking like nothing was gonna come of this, but I'd seem less creepy reaching out to these people. And from there, people started contacting me and wanting to take my photo. And at first I was like, scam, scam. This is not real. They want to kill me. This is not okay. And again, because I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I'm going to start my modeling career.
Yeah.
I'm 5'5". But then they started working with other influencers in the area, and I realized it was legitimate and just kind of started getting into that creative process. And for me, it was always something that wasn't so much about like, I look so beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at my bag. It's so expensive. It was really about like the emotional expression of it. And because I was always inspired by music and art, and like I was in middle school being like, I love Bjork. And other people were like, I love Backstreet Boys. I was like, no, Bjork, David Bowie. So I've always been very drawn to that sort of artistic element. And then when I got into that Instagram world where I was able to actually live that on the weekends, live that during the week, it was something that just kind of grew from there. And I kind of started modeling and coming up with concepts and being able to express my creativity.
Very cool. What would you say is the nucleus behind your creativity? Is it fashion? Is it modeling? What is it?
Honestly, I think that the nucleus behind my creativity is the relationship with my twin sister. Because people don't...
Because y'all model together sometimes, right?
Well, we do model together, even though she's absolutely beautiful, such a beast. Like, she is so amazing, but she doesn't like modeling as much as I do.
Okay.
But people don't realize how much you get out of having somebody who matches your emotional expression all the time.
Okay.
Here's somebody who can always have a conversation with me, always understand the depth of my emotional experience, and that is such a powerful, wonderful thing that you expect it in others. You start expecting it in others, and it's not actually something that people are used to.
Yeah,
and that's always
yeah.
the way I've approached the world,
Yeah.
is that my emotional expression is not going to be too much or confusing. It's going to be understood. So I think when you approach the world that way, it helps you be more creative in a general sense.
Talk to me a little about when you started modeling when you were 30. Most models are models when they're
13.
Yeah, or as soon as they turn 18, they're going out. So did you feel as if you were at a disadvantage coming in the game a little later, but based on what you were doing with because when did you start taking selfies of what you were wearing and posting it on Instagram?
I mean, like literally when I was 30.
Okay.
Like, I literally was like, because I had the wonderful experience of working at a high-end luxury like fashion consignment shop that I oversaw a bunch of the stores when I was 30. I started there at 27, and I like rose up through the ranks, and then kind of just started taking photos of my daily outfits because you got to dress up for work. But I got to be very much myself, like goth, weird style. And I mean, I really just didn't think anything was going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't,
it's crazy how things play out that way.
Well, I did, I really, because I've, especially later in that career, I've worked with a lot of models, and people were like, oh, I should be able to be a professional runway model at 5'3" and 27 years old. And I think that's totally great. You should be able to do whatever your dreams are. But to me, I didn't feel any which way about being 30 and not a professional model. I still don't want to be a professional model now.
Do you think there's something to be said, though, about, are professional models less a thing now because you can just use social media to be your own model?
So I do think that there is a huge influx of people who are allowed to be models and express themselves creatively in that aspect. Absolutely. And I think that's a wonderful positive thing. Photographers and stylists and makeup artists are all connected with people who can express and, do the eyes to the camera, and they want to do this. They want to put their emotional vulnerability out there and their expression out there. However, I don't think that changes what is really going to make somebody a professional model making a large salary from this profession. I don't think that has changed.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that we're kind of changing what the body standards are.
Yeah.
But typically, still we're looking at 5'10" and above. They started at 13, or they're doing it at 17.
Why 5'10"? Why is that the number? 5'9", 5'10"? Why has that always been the...
Honestly, I mean, I think that it is actually about body ratios.
Yeah.
It's about that golden ratio where your calves are the right length for your thighs. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that somebody who's shorter, heavier, anything, they are not less attractive. They are absolutely just as worthy and beautiful, but that is what we're looking at. We're looking at the symmetry and the ratios, and that's all it is people always talk about it being a clothes hanger.
What's your job now?
My job now, because people always ask me like, oh, you're going to be a professional Instagrammer. I'm like, no. So my job now is working for a product developer and manufacturer here in Richmond. It's a woman-owned business, and what I do is I manage several marketplaces: Amazon, Target, eBay, Walmart, and I do all of the product selling and detail pages.
Okay,
so I
gotcha.
do all the optimization, copywriting, I coordinate with the photo team, everything like that. So I love the fact that it does have that creative element for me to be able to write.
And with marketing, I would assume? Yeah.
A lot of marketing.
Yeah.
But I also actually love that even though I was always brain dead when it came to math, truly brain dead, really bad. I have
Same
that,
here.
really bad. I got a perfect score on my SAT verbals and 500 on the math. It was just oh, you wrote your name.
Yeah.
So bad.
I don't even remember my score, honestly. That's how bad it was.
That's called being 34. Okay. But I really actually like that it uses that other side of my brain. It actually forces me to get into that aspect of analytical thinking and not always creative, because sometimes being creative can be overwhelming. You have such a depth of emotion and such a depth of experience, and there's so much that you want to express that sometimes it's nice to just kind of be in these little silos.
So you do have some sort of outlet within your professional job to create and to be creative, which kind of leads me into the point that we're getting at is is being creative with anything you have, with any resource you have. You don't necessarily need to go out and be 5'10" or look a certain way or buy all this stuff. You can create with what you have.
Absolutely.
And just looking at your page, your Instagram, and having done shoots with you, I can tell you're very resourceful with who you work with how you style it. you modeled a dress at our last photo shoot that was literally torn to shreds, but you crushed that look, and it was Ryan's design. He did an amazing job with it, and it was just cool to see how he could turn a piece of fabric into what other people would see as something that's torn, ripped up. But you like, and the picture, I'll post a picture of it now. It looks awesome because it's like raggedy but elegant at the same time. So what do you have a process for just being resourceful like that in creativity, or is it more of just something you develop over time?
Well, I mean, I think that being resourceful is something that you do learn it over time. Because for me, it was something that just sort of my background is I didn't have like a family structure that I could really rely on to sort of provide for me that much. So it was something that I really got used to. And I think that, when you have somebody who has a vision and a dream, and they are like creatively expressive behind what they're doing, the meaning of it totally takes over and will always be more powerful to me than a label or a brand or whatever it is, even though there might be beautiful design behind that as well, which I of course appreciate. But like for something like that, where Ryan literally came over and was like, okay, I have to make you a dress. He pulled out a pair of scissors and one piece of fabric from his bag, and I was just like, oh, that's what's up. And
do you prefer shoots like that as opposed to like heavier styled shoots, or what?
I like them both. Yeah, I really like them both. And I will say that moving to Richmond has been a hugely different experience, because DC is very much about like the stylist, the hair, like the hairstylist, like. We have 15 looks, and make sure you tag me in this.
It's more like corporate creative rather than
very,
just like,
very, very much so.
When I moved to Richmond, I could tell right off the bat. I was like, "This is my city." It's like a creative city.
Well, it's like city light.
Yeah.
To me, it's Richmond. I love Richmond, but it's like city light because you're not dealing with all of the like egos and everybody's trying to like one up each other. Everybody's just a little bit more embracing of their own creative process and actually appreciates the creative process instead of like the clout.
Yeah.
Which I love. So.
I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and Savannah
seems so nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice city, very artistic. Savannah College of Art and Design is down there. Looking back, I was like, man, I should have just gone to film school down there instead of something else that I did.
But so you learned it on your own.
Yeah, and it's really rewarding when you learn it on your own as opposed to going to a class and sitting. I've been through several classes that I was passionate about this topic, and then after the class, I'm just like dull and dead inside.
Exactly.
So it's nice to go out and get your own experience and just dive into it and have no idea what you're doing, but you keep doing it and just keep networking and making friends in the.
Well, and that's what it like. When I felt like I was in DC, I felt like everybody was so networking heavy.
Yeah.
And I love DC. I love Nova. I love the people that I knew there. Like, absolutely. But I felt like it was very much about that, where it's actually about meeting people here. And I thought that I was going to go to art school. I always thought I was going to go to art school until I saw that bill and that price of it, and I knew that I was going to have to put myself through that. And
what did you end up doing? Did you go through college? Or?
I did. So I put myself through college in Florida. I went to New College of Florida. We had like 600 students there. It was the Honors College of Florida. And
what did you study?
I studied psychology, which is just about as useful as art. But I loved it. I studied psychology and German. I absolutely loved it. I loved school. I was always a huge nerd. Loved school, was all about school, 100%.
Did you pick up a lot of German?
Ein bisschen. Sehr schlecht.
Guten Tag.
Wie geht's es Ihnen? But no, I mean, I love studying languages. I'm very, very glad I went to college. It was like the first people in my family, my sister and I, we went to the same college. Okay. We lived together. And I was very, very happy to go and put myself through college. It was a wonderful experience.
So you've been through everything with your sister, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's good to have that comfort of, like you said, she doesn't like photo shoots as much, but it's still great to have her there for that, just that companionship. She supports you, you support her.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I'm hoping to get both of you on a photo shoot here soon for Halloween. I think that'll be awesome.
She's very excited about it. And she is very selective about the shoots that she does.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, okay, he's so talented. This is going to be awesome.
Well, I appreciate that.
And we kind of have that like creepy vibe. So the Halloween vibe is a good one for us.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Yeah. Just got to find the cornfield to do it in.
I know.
Or something. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Good.
So when you do a shoot, do you have a process for the creativity involved, or do you kind of let everyone put their input in. Like there's usually, when I see your shoots, there's like a makeup artist involved. There's a really talented makeup artist I saw on a recent shoot you did.
Probably with Jenna.
Very face heavy makeup with like,
was it the flowers?
Yeah, definitely flowers.
So that was Jenna.Morrissey. Check her out. She actually just sent me photos from our last shoot. So amazing.
Was she the photographer or the makeup artist or both?
Both.
Oh, wow.
She also designed the entire outfit.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And, but typically I'm my own makeup artist. I'm my own hairstylist. I do all my own stuff. Like what I have found is, and when I talk to a lot of photographers, they're always like, oh, Kim, you have the best concepts, is that I come with the concept to them instead of the other way around. And it's actually one of the tips that I always try to give photographers when they're like, oh, well, how do I get people to book with me more? Or how do I get them to like kind of seal the deal? I'm like, well, do you have a concept? Or have you reached out and just said, let's shoot. Let's shoot.
Having
let's
a
shoot
concept.
What?
Yeah.
Why you? Why not somebody else? What is it about your particular energy? Like I have that kind of like goth girl, sad girl vibes, energy, you know, very emotive. That's what I think of when I think about like an artistic process. Like, it should be emotional. It should be something that I feel deeply.
Do you think it's a photographer? Do you think it's always a photographer that should have the concept in mind when they reach out, or is
absolutely not? Like I do look at photographers who have a certain style, and I'm like, okay, I want to work with you because of this reason or that reason. I think this would be a good fit. But I think that if you are particularly starting out as a photographer, you should have ideas and concepts and interact with the models you're reaching out to. Find stylists that you like their style. Have genuine conversations with them and know why you want to work with them. Don't just like reach out a million DMs to people, you know, like, oh, let's shoot.
What's your thought on meetups? Because I've done a few meetups. I've had great experiences and bad experiences alike. And I typically find that meetups that have a lot of like just a ton of photographers and like 3 models. It's just like everyone gets the same content.
They get all the same. Like, here's especially when I was in DC, people were always like, "Kim, you never do meetups." And I was like, it's not me being like, I don't do meetups. I was like, no, I just, it comes off as like real paparazzi vibes. Where it's just like everybody's having the same exact shot of you. Nobody has a chance to actually do anything or have their own vision.
Or connect with you.
Or connect. I feel like, and that's the number one thing that like, even if I've gone through feeling confident, unconfident with my body or appearance or style, it is about connecting with creative people.
Absolutely.
That makes it worth it. And I feel like with meetups, unless it's structured in a way that you have private time with the subject, it kind of doesn't work out for either end, where it's just like the photographer has the same shot as everybody, the model has 15 of the same shot with that person, and it doesn't really, but it just takes a little bit more planning, and it's fine. But I do appreciate the thought behind it.
I think it's ideal when there's like a very like you said, there's a theme in place. There's a location or a venue, especially the more unique, the better. And then there's equal number of photographers and models with equal experience.
Absolutely.
And that's when true stuff is created, true art is created. And it's not just a bunch of running around and like people like fighting over like.
We're just like, okay, well, let me get like, this is my time with this person, and she's like, where do I even look? What do I even do? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, so for me, meetups have never really kind of worked for me, but it's also because it's such an emotional experience. Like, you know, my sister and I were just talking about this, how she's kind of, you know, friends with this person who's an actor, and she asked like, can you cry on command? He was like, oh no, I can't. I was like, I can't. We definitely can, because you just have to have that emotional experience behind it and be able to connect. And it's just very hard to do that if you're like, where am I looking? I don't know what's going on. Because that's, I think, the real substance of art is emotion and connection. I
want to go through your Instagram and just get a little bit of context for maybe a theme or an idea or the creative process. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on in this one right here.
So this is my quarantine game night photo. So basically what I was looking at is, I used to hate Pinterest. I don't know why, but I used to hate Pinterest, but I started looking at old ads from the 50s and 60s of these like tabletop designs where it would just be like cards and like, you know, like a ambrosia salad. And I love the bright colors and like the just kind of oddity of it. And during this, I believe this was, April 23rd. So it was kind of the start, sort of, we've been a month in quarantine. This was a weird time. Who knows how long this is going to last.
I like the masks. And what's going on here?
So this was another quarantine style with just me loving pizza, which was just That's just real life. And that's really what it was. It was like, and this was...
Where's the idea come from for this?
So this was kind of inspired from also, again, kind of like the 60s and 70s, like kind of Better Homes and Gardens vibe, where it was kind of like this vintage nightgown. And for me, it's something where I will find pieces of clothing at a thrift store or anywhere, and I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going to use this, but I'm going to use it. So my wardrobe is out of control for sure. So that's what it was. It was kind of like, this is sort of what people are doing now. Everybody's talking about like the quarantine 15, and that's sort of where it came from, where it was just like, let's kind of take that old school aesthetic and make it towards those kind of like modern, very modern, very, very pressing, very real.
And this one here, how much setup time went into this look?
An hour.
Really?
Honestly,
Just an hour?
This is Jenna Morrissey. This is what she called fashion pandemic. And when I reached out to her, I was like, you are incredibly talented and amazing. Like, would you want to work with me? And she was so gracious and so wonderful. And this is the beauty of working with people, even if you're not feeling your most confident, you just are really, really getting something from this relationship. As she is a VCU graduate, and she graduated with a photography degree, and she was so excited about this like outfit that she designed. She designed that. I showed up, she had all these flowers. She was like, oh, okay, we're gonna put it here. And she's like, I'm gonna put this mask on you. Let's put flowers around it. Because again, it's kind of going back to that new normal where it's like, yeah, you have to be this way now, but let's make it glamorous. Let's really embrace it. And that was me literally outside of a high school balancing on a wire fence. People were watching me.
It's always fun at a photo shoot when people watch.
I was like, I know this looks glamorous, but I was literally like, it was like 1,000 degrees. I was sweating. There was like, I appreciate your like Hot One style Instagram deep dive. People that need like a little bit more story from the Instagram post.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of just not forgetting all the work that people have put in to create, and
so much work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to create.
It is
to create correctly, I think, and there's not really a correct way. I don't think.
Is there a correct way?
I don't think there is a correct way, but you know it when it feels right, that you're putting in your effort, and that's what I mean by the correct way.
And you actually do know what it feels like when it feels kind of like.
I've had those days. I'm like,
Me too.
I'm not creating today. It's like
I'm not always like, I'm an artist. I'm amazing. At all. And there's also something to be said to, some people that you work with will be amazing, and I would say that 99% of my experiences have been amazing, but there are also things that just they don't really give a lot back to you, and that's okay. You need to recognize those things, and you need to not feel guilty about not sort of pursuing those things in the future. And especially as I've gotten older, like again, I'm not 24, I'm 34. Like I only have so much time.
That is the new 24. I don't know if you've heard.
You're right. Time is the most valuable asset that you have.
I agree. I think especially as you progress in your creative journey, you're going to find that you're limited by time. Once you start making a little bit of money, whether it's in modeling or photography or painting or whatever it is, you're going to find that time is going to be your most valuable asset, and managing time and figuring out how to best utilize time to pursue your creative endeavor is the best one.
And I think that that's interesting because, and I think we sort of touched on this last time when I was shooting with you, is because it's not just your creative pursuits. It's also, if you have a training routine, if you have a job, you're balancing your finances, maybe you have a family. Your time is like, if we could only be so lucky to only think about our creative pursuits. Right, exactly. Like, it is a very valuable aspect. So it should be something that I was talking about this the other day with a friend where I was like, all of my friends provide for me creatively. Like they are so inspiring. They all give me energy. And if the people you're around are not giving you energy and you're not paid to be there, ask yourself why you're around them. So in closing, giving your advice to creatives in general, what's something you would say tailored to you and your experiences that what would you pass along? Well, it's very, very old hat, but I would say be yourself. Do not be whatever version of yourself you think you need to be. Don't be the version of yourself that somebody has told you to be. Don't be the version of yourself that is the most accepted. However crazy you are, whatever you're creating, you deserve acceptance. It doesn't mean that you don't need to improve and that you're not going to be trying for self-improvement throughout your time on Earth here, but be yourself. You're the only person who can be. I'm an identical twin, and I still believe that. We both do. So please, whatever you feel the need to express, put it out there. in whatever form it comes.
Well said. Well said. We're going to wrap it up there, but thank you for joining us on this episode with Kim of Jawfox Post-Production, a podcast designed to explore the creative process. The takeaways from this episode are to embrace your creative side, be yourself, use whatever resource you have to be creative. You don't have to put a whole lot of money or effort into it. Kim goes to thrift stores to build a look for a photo shoot. And that's sometimes the best thing you can do. You don't need all this money or all this, a huge team. You can create today with what you have. It just takes a little bit of ingenuity and imagination.
It's in here. It's in here.
Yep. It's definitely in your heart, and it's definitely coming from thinking differently. See your world differently, think differently, create. I will catch you on the next. Where can people find you?
Oh, they can find me at spooky.city on Instagram, and that's the only social media I use because everything else is scary.
I'm with you on that one.
Right? I'm like, Twitter, no.
I'm testing the waters on YouTube, so we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
All right, so thank you, Kim, for being on this episode.
Thank you.
And another cheers. We'll finish up at a drink, but we need to turn off the camera to finish this. So all right, well, thank you, everyone, for joining, and we will catch you in the next episode. Take care.